This is a contrabass trumpet in F. It is a right-handed, not a left-handed. It is played kind of like a flugelhorn. It's about the size of a marching baritone, maybe a little bit fatter. No, a little bit leaner, I would say. It's obviously a little bit shorter lead pipe. You can see it there. Just dumps right into the first valve. This is your first valve. It pulls down. Second valve also pulls down. Third valve pulls towards the player. And then on the back side, we see the main tuning slide right here. So this pulls out, and it's got a fairly long part on there. Fairly long slide. The bell is 8 inches, about 8 inches in diameter, just shy of 8 inches. It takes a large shank euphonium or trombone mouthpiece. I'm using a Shoki 50. It came with a Doug Yo Yamaha mouthpiece for large shank. I'm just not used to it. I'm going to be playing on the Shoki 50. It also came with an Altieri gig bag, a very nice Altieri gig bag, top loader. You know, has backpack straps. Was quite useful for Saturday. Yes, I did bring this to the local tuba Christmas, not to play in it, just for the rehearsal. Just wanted to get an opinion from a professional player, Deanna Swoboda of ASU, that's Arizona State University. She gave it a whirl, even though it was kind of like in the elephant room where she had to turn around a couple times to, be able to hear herself play in and amongst all the other tuba players. So I got a better idea on how it sounded from, like a foot away, 2 feet away. But here we'll give you a good idea on how this plays. It is in the key of F. That means it's going to be about the same length as an F tuba. The bore is from like a trumpet, so it's like between 460 and 470. But yeah, it's real small bore, real short lead pipe, which plays around with some oddities of it. But we'll give it a play. What's that, low C, I think that is? F. Pretty good low C, I would think. So the one thing to note here is, obviously I don't play instruments these small. I don't use mouthpieces these small. I think the smallest mouthpiece I've ever used was like a 1900s, 1920s E-flat tuba mouthpiece, which is ever so slightly larger than this, but also smaller than a standard tuba mouthpiece. So that's about the smallest I've ever played. And that one, I really like those smaller, like, what is it, like there's a Dennis Wick 3 or a Dennis Wick 5. There's some specific like small cup E-flat mouthpiece. Those I love. This is not quite there. I got it because I needed something to fit a certain instrument before I found one of those small mouthpieces. But anyways, I don't really play small mouthpieces, and I don't really play F. In fact, this is the first F instrument I've played. I've had E-flat instruments before, and double E-flat, that's sub-bass E-flat. You've seen that on this channel, or in other videos of mine. And obviously I have the giant sousaphone back here, so you know this is like it fits in there. You know, it's a big 30-inch bell, big giant sousaphone. And then we have the king pate, which you can't see, which is in behind the video. But so there's you know some, not being an F player, this is vastly different, and not having an instrument this small with this small of a mouthpiece is vastly different. So the high range, I'm not going to show you. Low range is kind of, you know, you're limited by its 3 valves. Oh, I missed a note. That's about where I'm just going to stop before I make any more of a fool of myself. So, you know, I've been told from the previous owner of this that the F in the staff is flat, I believe. But I play sharp overall just because I play sharp on all of my instruments, so I have to get longer tuning slides made or some other modification made to them in order for them to play in tune. It could help with a slightly smaller mouthpiece, slightly smaller cup of a mouthpiece. That could improve things, or a different throat, or in the back bore of the mouthpiece. What I think would help immensely with this instrument is a longer lead pipe. It seems that this is maybe not even a lead pipe at all. It's difficult to tell without calipers. But there's like, even if there is, there's such a minute taper in here. If it is an actual lead pipe. If not, it's a straight bore of tubing, which doesn't help much. You kind of do need that conical nature in the lead pipe, you know, going from a small up to a large. And it may not help that the mouthpiece end of the mouthpiece is probably the same size as the bore, maybe a slight bit larger, which, you know, you could be running an issue there. So yeah, it works well though. Alright, so the F in the staff is what? This note? That seems a little restricted, especially when comparing to a lower note. It could be a little flat there. Your alternate fingering of 2-3 helps. Let's see, if it had a 4th valve, you could probably do a little bit more with that. I mean, obviously that would increase the range a bit, especially in the lower register, give you a little bit alternate fingerings. Wouldn't be that hard to do. I think I have the valve section that could do a 4 valve if I wanted to convert this to a 4 valve. I don't really want to. It works well as a 3 valve. I would say it weighs probably the same as, I mean, given that I'm chucking it around like this, It weighs probably the same as my King flugelbone, which is like a marching trombone, 3-valve, compact little thing. Everybody knows what those are, or the old marching trombone. They're all about the same. It doesn't weigh nearly as much as my, well, it's not mine, as the Contra Flugel that I made in E flat, which was like another foot longer than this, but it was also all conical tubing and weighed a lot more. You know, for what, C below middle C, so that'd be the C in the staff. And then low C, which is 2 lines down below the staff. I think these are the right notes. Again, not being an F player, it's hard to say. And obviously I'm speaking in bass clef this entire time. Maybe I was playing an F. I don't know. So that'd be middle C. Yeah, so that's the Contrabass F. If I didn't mention before, this was made by Carl Kleinsteuber a number of years ago. I'm not sure when he made this. As I understand it, he made it just from parts he had on hand. He's made a couple of these. You can find it on one of the Contrabass pages. I think it's a photo of this one along with a Bach bass trumpet or a Getzen bass trumpet. I think it's a Bach. Not entirely sure. But you can see it on there. You can read about it a little bit. So yeah, this thing is for sale. It's given me a good idea on what a contrabass trumpet could sound like, given that there's not many recordings of them. Well, there's like, I think 1, 2, maybe like 3 recordings that I know of various contrabass trumpets in F. And I know there's one sub bass in B flat, which would be like 18 feet of tubing. That again was made like with trumpet bore, well no, it'd be bass trumpet bore tubing that they just elongated further down to double B flat. So this would probably be close to that almost. But going forward, I think for my purposes, I need an E flat instrument. This F isn't quite doing it for me. I can't really wrap my head around both the sound of the F and the fingerings for the F. E flat's easier for me because I just think it as, you know, the false tone side of a B flat tuba up an octave. That works for me pretty well. Whereas this, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's in F, so I got to put down one, and then I got to put down the other thing, and then that does it to this thing. It's just way too much confusion for me. Even though, what is it? Yeah, I'm trying to think it on B flat, and it's making my mind go. So this thing is for sale. I posted it on the Facebook, and it's on eBay. Take a look at it. Share the video. So yeah, the Contrabass Trumpet in F. Wonderful, tiny little tuba. Well, not tuba, trumpet. It's definitely trumpet. Cylindrical, totally cylindrical. Perhaps the body of the instrument doesn't, how can I say, doesn't begin until somewhere up in here. Yeah, it's about, there's a ferrule behind the valve section here where the body would have begun. It's not, well, it is denting you're seeing, but it's denting from the bending process of the tubes. The necessary tools to get those really smooth are really expensive, probably more than the cost of this instrument for the specialized steel tools. But yeah, it's really quite a good playing instrument once you wrap your head around the fact that you're playing on a small mouthpiece and an F. Or if you're an F player and you already play F and you're looking for like a portable practice type thing, or you want something to play, I guess, something else weird, this is an option. I'd love to hear this on like in a jazz band or something, with a more competent player than me. This would, I think, play real well as a jazz type instrument. If not, you could probably just play backup horns for I don't know, any type of group would probably work. I really like the bell profile on this. I think that's like the best part. The bell on this is, if I could find one of these, I don't know where it came from, but I really like the bell on this. Really like it. I think it was from an old baritone. I think that's about the closest I can get. But yeah, so enough of me rambling. This is an F contrabass trumpet. It is still a trumpet. Kind of looks like a baritone, but it's a trumpet in F, so like 12.5 feet long or so. Contrabass trumpet. Let's go.